Hi gang, Rob here. It is the evening of 10 June 2013, and wow, tonight's video is going to be a hard one for me to make. You ever have something happen where you've prepared as much as you can prepare? Everything seems to be perfectly aligned. You've done all you can do, and it's time for you to perform. And when the time comes, you just blow it. Yeah, that's the kind of day I had yesterday. As some of you know, for some time I've wanted a Benchmade 940, and I've freed up some cash in the collection and came across a great deal on one that a guy only carried for about a week, and this is it. You know, I've wanted a 940 for a lot of years, and I was a little bit on the fence about whether it was worth the money. And then I got to spend a few days with Campfire Talks 940 that he sent me to sharpen, which, by the way, it came out beautifully. And so when this one became available, I bought it. And yesterday, got home from church, ate some lunch, went out and bought my my new Dremel tool attachment for enhancing sharpening choils, because I knew I was going to use it on this knife. Got my stones all leveled up. Got my sharpening station ready. Took this bad boy apart. Took the blade out. First thing I did was extended my sharpening choil past the plunge grind, like you guys saw me do on last night's video on the Recon 1. Went ahead and knocked off the edges of that choil with a round rod and some sandpaper. Boy, it sure does look nice, doesn't it? Nicely finished all the way out. Boy, what a great job I did. You know, this knife, the sharpening choil, or I should say the plunge grind, really extended into the cutting edge, and I needed to extend before I sharpened it. I really needed to extend this notch a pretty fair distance. And to make that curve look nice and smooth, I ended up taking some material in this direction, more than I had when I did Campfire Talks knife. His wasn't near as bad a shape as mine was. But, you know, it came out really beautiful, I thought. And so I proceeded to sharpen the knife. And that was in and of itself an interesting proposition. I got a feeling, although this knife wasn't carried much, it's from a little earlier production era than the one I did for camp, because it was not nice and thin behind the edge, and the edge was horribly ground, super steep, and really not symmetrical, and really not a consistent angle throughout the run of the blade. At the factory, because the plunge grind was such a large radius, and there was so much thickness in through here, the edge grind was much steeper back here at the base of the blade than it was out here in the belly. So I really fought with this knife. I really did. To get a bevel that looked remotely even was very difficult. And you know, for 3 hours I worked on this edge, and I got what I thought was a pretty good looking edge. Actually, upon reflection, it's not very even at all. I don't know if you guys can pick this up, but especially here on the right side of the blade, it's just not very good. The bevel's very wide through here, and then it kind of narrows in through here. It's sharp. It's really sharp. And anyway, I was pretty happy with it. I got a nice sharp tip. I mean, a really nice sharp tip. But let's see. When I got the knife back together, got the pivot Loctited, adjusted it as I like them, just a tick tight. When I put them back together and I closed the knife and I heard something funny. I'm going to try to get a really good focus here. You got to see if you can figure out why I heard something funny. You can see it there if you look close. Let me play it for you. Did you hear that? Oops. Listen. Oh, hear that? Yeah. Can anybody guess what it is? See if you can see it here. Can you see it? See those big chunks out of my cutting edge? That, guys, is the sound of my blade slamming into my backspacer. Anybody know why? Well, I'll tell you why. With the axis lock pulled all the way back, the blade drops. And guess what stops the blade? The axis bar hits, you guessed it, the axis bar hits this surface that I took material from. And I took too much. After 3.5 hours of reshaping that choil, sharpening the knife, putting it back together, thinking I was in good shape, I heard that smack and I saw these chunks out of my cutting edge and my heart sank. And I thought about ways I could fix it. I thought about reprofiling the blade and taking off a whole bunch of material and hoping it wouldn't hit. And I thought about taking my knife apart and grinding out my beautiful purple titanium backspacer. And I'm glad I had something to do before I did anything else stupid, because it became clear that I just needed to swallow my pride, call Benchmade this morning when they opened, and throw myself on the mercy of the Benchmade court. Good thing this is a Benchmade too. Don't know if you know this, but Benchmade's customer service policy is that any Benchmade knife may have a new blade installed for $25. And I just was honest with them, told them what I did. And they will not ship you a blade. You do have to pay postage both ways. You send them your knife, they will take your old blade, and they will install a new one and send it back to you. I did explain to them the reason I was taking material off that choil in the first place. And I asked that when they installed a replacement blade that they could go through their blade inventory and find one that had as crisp and tight a plunge radius as possible, so the need is minimized for that operation. And they graciously agreed to do that. Also, I don't know if you guys know this, but when you send your Benchmade knife in, you can have your clip replaced upon request. And as some of you know, I'm not a big fan of this painted old Emerson style clip, and Benchmade is going to ship this thing back with a black oxide split arrow clip, my favorite one for this knife. How cool is that? And a rather new service, laser etching for $5. I think I'm gonna have my channel name etched right here in the back side, which is the front side for me because I'm a lefty, of my knife blade. What do you think? in the main grind or up here on the swedge. I don't know how small they can do it, but I kind of think the main grind. So basically for $30 plus some postage, I'm going to have a new blade. Hopefully it'll have Benchmade's newer edge grind geometry, and I won't go through the nightmare that I did on this one. And one with a better plunge grind that I can make perfect on my second try. Guys, you have no idea how glad I was when I thought about this, that this was my knife and not one of yours. Boy, I sure would. As sick as I felt wrecking this knife, it would have just killed me if it had been one of yours. Too bad too, because well, it'll be fine when it's all done. But what a sweetie this is, man. Great blade centering. Although I will say, this grind's not too cool right here at where the swedge meets the tip grind either. Kind of cockeyed a little bit. I won't be sad to have a new blade in this. But boy, the handle is so sweet. The color on the back spacer is awesome. Just thought I'd share a little of my humanness and fallibility with you all. You guys are always so kind, and you lavish such praise on me in the comments about how good looking my edges are. Just want you to know, far from perfect is old Rob. I'll keep you posted and show you this knife again when all is right. That's all for tonight, my friends. Grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember, the word is sharp.